Hello, welcome students. Today we are going to start lesson number 24, Substances, Objects and Energy. Now students, can you tell? We'll discuss these questions. First one, write a few lines on the blackboard with a chalk. Now observe the chalk. What changes do you see in the chalk? The chalk reduces in size after writing on the blackboard. It becomes flat on the side from which we use it for writing. Next, wipe the blackboard with a duster and then tap the duster against the table. What do you see? When we wipe the blackboard with a duster, we see particles of chalk powder settling on the duster. When the duster is tapped against any hard surface, these particles move out of the duster and settle elsewhere. The chalk powder spreads everywhere. So here this tells us that when you wrote on the board, particles of the chalk stuck to the board, and when you wiped the board, they came off. Try this. Take small pieces of candy sugar, that is khadi sakar or coal, and pound them in a mortar as shown in the picture. What do you notice? When you pound the coal or the sugar, it turns into a powder, that is into small particles. All substances we see around us are made up of very tiny particles. We have seen that how sawdust or particles of wood fly when the wood is cut with a saw. When iron or copper is made smooth with a file, we get particles of iron or copper. All substances like pencil, chalk, paper, wood, wheat grains, iron, copper, coal are all made up of fine particles. The small particles of various substances that we can see are themselves made up of many tinier particles. These tiny particles are so small that they are not visible to our eyes. Lakhs of particles of any substance must come together to form a particle that can be visible to us. Use your brain power. What are the small particles that can be seen in a beam of light that enters a dark room? In the beam of light, the small particles of dust are seen. Children, do you know? The theory that all substances are made of minute particles was proposed long ago by Kanad Maharshi. Kanad Maharshi was born in the 6th century BC at Prabhash Kshetra near Sorti Somnath in Gujarat. His given name was Uluk. He proposed that all things in the world can be classified into 7 categories. He was also the first to suggest that every object in the universe is made up of minute particles. He named that tiny particles pillow. Students, can you tell? If there is a sudden shower, we take shelter under a roof at the roadside, even though the rain does not fall on us directly. We get wet to some extent. Why? What is the reason? The raindrops that fall on the road bounce off and break up into droplets. These droplets are also made up of tinier particles of water. They make us wet. It means that liquids are also made of small particles like solids. Now we'll discuss some use your brain power questions. First one, make a list of all the everyday substances that we use in the form of a powder. Examples, they are chili powder, turmeric powder, face powder, etc. Now next question. Naphthalene balls are placed in warm cloths. After some days, why do the cloths also smell of naphthalene? Naphthalene is continuously being converted into small particles in the gaseous state. Such small particles from the balls settle on the cloths, so the cloths too smell of naphthalene. Next question. Naphthalene balls are placed into toilets. Why do they become smaller after a few days? Due to the property of naphthalene to turn into a gaseous state, the naphthalene balls kept in the toilet also become smaller and smaller after few days. Particles of rangoli are fine like a floor. Rangoli colors are also available in the form of grains. Use your brain power. Suppose you do not have rangoli powder. What things can you use as an alternative? We can use flour, face powder, chalk powder, etc. Now the states of substances. Water is found in nature in three states: solid, liquid, and gaseous. In all the three states, the individual particles of water remain the same. However, the arrangement of the particles in each of these states is different. We'll see. Ice, it is example of solid. Water, it is the example of liquid. And water vapor, it is the example of gaseous state. Now we'll see the arrangement of the particles in each state. You can see in the picture. See, in the solid, the particles are very close to each other. They are compact. And in liquid, we can see that the particles are having little bit gap. They are little bit away from each other. And in gaseous state, the particles are far away from each other. As a result, we see differences in the properties of solids, liquids, and gases. All substances in nature have a particulate form. Particulate form is they are made up of particles. In nature, every substance occurs in a specific state. Accordingly, that substance is called a solid, liquid, or gas. For example, aluminium and coal are solids. Kerosene and petrol are liquids, while nitrogen and oxygen are gases. Different substances have different properties. Substances may differ with respect to properties like hardness, transparency, color, smell, solubility in water, etc. I hope you have understood the topic. So for better understanding, read the topic once again and do the given homework.